This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. During the next hour, the insane Daryl Wayne and I are going to take a look at a couple of different things. During the last part of our show, we're going to take a look at a new book. It's called Care: How People of Faith Can Respond to Our Broken Health System. I know that every time I get a bill from my insurance company, I do take the Lord's name in vain. So we'll talk about that with G. Scott Morris. He's a doctor and he's also a minister. We'll find out about that in about 30 minutes from now. Right now, we're going to go to New York City. We're going to talk to our new friend, Richard Schreiber. Did I get that halfway close?
Schreiber. Yeah, it's German. It means the writer in German.
The writer. I had a journalism teacher with a name very close to that in high school. So it was meant to be, because you are a writer as well.
Yes. I've actually published a romance novel and working on the second book in the series, and have over the years written for various outlets and became actually a consultant, where I ended up writing much more boring stuff, but I always kept my focus on, writing accessibly. I think that's the important thing. People got to understand and appreciate what you're writing about. So that's the fun part.
And I believe you have a degree in communications and media as well.
Yes, broadcast journalism of all things at Emerson College in Boston.
Not too shabby. But we're going to talk about not work-related stuff exactly. We're going to talk about autism. Your now 16-year-old daughter has autism.
Yes.
She's on the spectrum. But as you and I talked the other day, I think everybody's on the spectrum. And I actually talked to a psychologist yesterday, and I told her she wants to talk about depression with me. And I said, everybody's on the depression scale as well, especially in our trying times right now.
Yes.
So tell me about your daughter, first of all.
Well, my daughter is now a thriving 16-year-old, very healthy, very robust, does well in school. She's also incredibly talented. She's a cartoonist, seems to take some of her influence from the old Mad magazine artist who did Spy versus Spy, Anthony Profias, but she's doing really well. So thank you for asking, Mark.
When did you know that she had autism?
Well, she was diagnosed a little bit late in the game. I mean, because it was an era, when 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when there wasn't really a lot of information out there on autism, not like today. And thankfully today, parents, and I always encourage parents, there's nothing harmful or shameful about getting your child examined for autism at the earliest age possible, at 18 months. But our daughter wasn't diagnosed until age 7. And at first it was ADHD, and then it was something called Asperger's, which my wife and I really had no idea, what that was, nor did we really know what autism was, other than, like most of us, the Rainmaker movie with Dustin Hoffman.
Right. And at the same time, you were following traditional therapies, drugs.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you said, nope, ain't working.
Yeah. And I think, what became apparent to me subsequently or later, and still happens today, is that, those of us, when you have a child, son or daughter, that's first diagnosed with autism and you're looking for answers, you generally get, I almost say, sucked into what's almost like a sales funnel of the mainstream services that are offered for people with autism, which typically consist, as you mentioned, of a pharmaceutical option and what can be cookie cutter ABA services. And in the scheme of things for us, it did not work for our daughter at all. And
there's a quote here, if I may. It said, I guess at her 6th grade graduation, she said, "Daddy, Nobody wants to be my friend.
Yes, it was actually her elementary school graduation day, and she was still on the drug at the time. And, people with Asperger's generally struggle with making eye contact, picking up nonverbal cues, which can make it difficult to make friends anyway. But on top of that, the drug just basically stupefied her. And you're right, when she came to me, she was crying. She never cries, and said those words. That was like somebody hit me upside the head with a 2x4. It was a wake-up call for both my wife and I that we needed to do more, and we needed to look at some different things.
And you went into a different direction from mainstream, I'll call it help.
Yes, we looked at some different things. My wife, first of all, the most important thing we felt was to get our daughter off the drug. She even asked us to. So my wife did some research, and then subsequently she's become an expert in essential oils, and she found a company called doTERRA that specifically had a line of essential oils and supplements that were designed to help people with autism or ADHD. And when we took our daughter off the drug, Adderall, and put her on this collection of essential oils, it was transformative. I know that's an often overused word,
Right.
but there's really no other word for our daughter. She gained back all the weight. She was able to manage herself and teach herself really how to manage the tics and the physical characteristics that come with it. And we looked at some other things. We enrolled her in a program called Brain Balance, which uses nutrition, diet, exercises, music, and all kinds of creative activities to really accentuate and restore some of the left brain, right brain neuro challenges that can occur in a person with autism. And
I know that it's got to be 30 years or more. Adderall has been used all that time they were using it when kids were, I don't even know if they called it ADHD yet, attention deficit disorder. And, but they were using it for kids who were disruptive in classes.
Yeah.
And it was overprescribed. And there are side effects to that
Yes.
just are not pleasant.
No, my daughter was emaciated, and she was, for the most part, stupefied in class, and which is why she said no one wanted to be her friend. And our biggest regret was not realizing that sooner. But God is good, and we, our daughter gave us the opportunity to go in a different path, and where she is today, we're just so proud.
That is great. Does she have friends today?
She does. Yeah, she has a best friend in school. She has another friend. We have a summer home in Long Island. She knows the importance of friends, and she makes eye contact. She can have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I give all the credit to her. I mean, she's done the work.
Sure.
She's made herself into who she is.
I know that what happens often in these situations is that parents don't know what to do. They rely on the system.
Yes.
And I guess it works for some people, but do you think the system is the easy way out? Not for necessarily for parents or their kids, but for the doctors and other people involved in the healthcare system.
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, Mark, we have a healthcare system that for people with autism structures its supports and solutions all from a neurotypical standpoint, largely from academia and from healthcare. What we need are solutions that are oriented from the autistic person's point of view. And that's a lot about what we're up to.
We're going to take some time out, and when we come back, we're going to talk about an upcoming event. Now, if you hear this after the event, which is Saturday, September 22nd.
October 22nd.
October 22nd, excuse me, October 22nd. Listen to it, and you can go to the website that we'll be giving you. It's up on our video screen. so that you can learn about what's happening with Richard's group, and that is, of course, the New York City Autism Community. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We're talking with Richard Schreiber. He is a proud father to a 16-year-old daughter who is autistic, and I guess he started a group called the New York City Autism Community Group, and they are having an event on October 22nd, and it's called Autism Tech, Innovation and Careers. Let me know, let us know what that's all about. That's an interesting title for an expo.
It is, and we're trying to cover a lot of ground, Mark. I mean, you could do an expo simply on neurodiversity careers, and I think we will plan to do that because there's a lot of movement that needs to happen in that space that has just getting started. But our expo is really about bringing alternative, innovative, and yes, tech-oriented solutions that probably people may not have heard about. I didn't know about them until I really immersed myself in some of the people that I've had the pleasure to meet in that space. But we're trying to bring to the families of New York City these wonderful services and solutions that we think are a better way than modern medicine and pharmaceutical options and cookie cutter ABA services that really focus only on behaviors, but do not focus really on who the autistic individual is and what is the best type of support and or services for them in mind. So that's the missing ingredient that we're trying to, through our expo, bring to light and really bring it for people to make their own informed decisions about if this is something they want to look at.
Richard, there must be a certain percentage of people who take the traditional route and it works.
Yeah, I would say that's likely very true. But if you talk to more and more autistic people themselves, they'll tell you that it doesn't work. So the challenge that faces us, especially as parents, is to make the transition from doing what we think is best to doing what is actually best for our autistic children. That's a very subtle shift and pivot, one that I had to make, and one that I did make when I was faced with a watershed moment in our life with our daughter where I had no choice. So,
and your wife went with you. I mean, you
yes.
guys did it together.
Yes, I'm blessed to have an amazing wife who supports me and has always been on. Yeah, we've always been a team, and we don't always agree, but where it comes to our daughter, God bless you.
Thank you.
We seem to ultimately get on the same page with the rigor and intensity and commitment that's Gesundheit.
Allergies. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. So let's take a look at Autism Tech. You have a tech background.
Yes.
Because while you're no longer a broadcast journalist, you have embraced technology in your business life.
Correct.
And you're bringing in technologies of all kinds, from the essential oils that we talked about a few moments ago to what that will help people with autism.
Yeah, Mark, most of my background was in designing custom software solutions for some of the biggest players in the game, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, whatever. Not that they're whatever,
Yeah.
but that gave me an appreciation that technology and software, if well constructed, if well designed and well implemented, could really make a huge difference. And that's carried over in part of what we do in the autism community and in our expo. One of our chief sponsors behind me, you can read, maybe not, is a company called Golmanda, which was created by a woman who was a PhD. She had all the requisite, letters after her name, who actually quit her profession and career in medical to create a mobile app to help her sister, who is nonverbal and autistic, to help her sister actually teach herself vocabulary, but from the way that she learns it. And this kind of epitomizes kind of the paradigm shift that we're hoping to grab onto and really create a mission around. And that is, again, creating autism supports and solutions that are designed from the autistic person's point of view, and using technology where it makes sense to impart those solutions.
And the group itself, the New York City Autism Community Group, is that a nonprofit?
Not at this point. We are a registered LLC. The route that I've been told to go, which seems to make sense for most, is to create your foundational organization first and then spin off a nonprofit, which we intend to do. So that's really the plan for us. And, you know, the Expo itself is really, for us, the starting point. We plan to do these annually in New York, and then do a second kind of a mobile or where we'll take the Expo to other cities in America, and perhaps even across the pond to the UK.
There are a lot of people who need this kind of work. What, where can people go to find out more about the Expo and about the New York City Autism Community Group?
Well, the New York City Autism Community Group is actually a private group. We also have a public group where we do a lot of postings, and we're very active in social media. The private Facebook group, which you can find very easily on Facebook, it's NYC Autism Community, is really a closed community where people can share information amongst themselves. And we curate this and post articles in there. And the public group is, we as I said, we post a lot of information also. We also have a website, nycautismcommunity.org. And as far as the event goes, we have an Eventbrite page for that, where you can order tickets and attend our event. You can even order them virtually. And that's easy to find on Eventbrite also. It's just NYC Autism Tech Innovation and Careers Expo.
Got it, on Eventbrite. And we'll have that up throughout our video interview. Listen, I'm trying to see, Daryl, are we out of time here? We have 2 minutes left. Okay.
2 minute warning.
2 minute warning. There we go. How does your daughter feel about the fact that you've started the group and you're doing this big expo coming up?
Yeah, it's interesting. My daughter is a pretty humble and a pretty private individual, but I know that she's very prideful about who she is. We haven't pushed her to get up on stage and talk about who she is. She's an incredible artist, so we will be featuring some of her artwork at our expo. And she will no doubt be participating in the expo, going around helping others. You know, she's very mindful of younger kids, loves to help out. So, I mean, this ultimately, Mark, is my legacy that I hope to leave to her if she chooses to, pass the baton to her to keep this going, because, this is important work I think we're doing, and it's just the start of something. But from just about everyone that I've spoken to, they say there's a real need for what we're doing.
Absolutely. There's no question that more and more people are reporting autism in their families. It is growing. Yes. And it doesn't seem that traditional medicine is doing enough to explore, to come up with solutions like you have. And again, I encourage you, if your child has been diagnosed and is on the spectrum, and as I said earlier, I think everybody's on the spectrum.
Yes.
But if it's a problem for the child, I encourage you to reach out to Richard and his people. And we have the addresses up here on our screen right now. Repeat those for our radio audience, if you would.
Sure. So our Facebook group or private group, which really services the greater New York metro area, is again NYC Autism Community. And our website is virtually the same, nycautismcommunity.org.
Terrific. Richard, we look forward to updates with you over the next few months as you guys grow.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. It's been an honor and a privilege to appear with you today.